the canoe builder's daughter. Mahingan stood at dawn, her fingers tracing the smooth cedar of her father's latest canoe, feeling the responsibility settle on her shoulders. Her father's voice echoed in her mind, reminding her that she would be the one to deliver the message that might ensure peace with the French traders. She loaded the canoe with supplies, carefully wrapping the small scroll containing her people's words in a bundle of soft buckskin. She pushed off into the mist-covered lake, her paddle slicing through the still water, as silence enveloped her and the great lake stretched before her. The morning air was crisp, filling her lungs with a steady resolve as she braced herself for the unknown journey ahead. Each stroke brought her closer to the land of the French, farther from her village, her family, and the comfort of familiar woods. Dark clouds loomed overhead, and a chill crept into her bones, foretelling the first of many tests nature would set before her. As the wind picked up, she felt the pull of her father's teachings, his lessons about reading the water and respecting the river's temper. Hours passed, and hunger gnawed at her, but she knew she had to reach the next shore before darkness cloaked the world around her. At dusk, she pulled her canoe onto a rocky shore, securing it with a sturdy knot, before setting up a modest camp with what little she carried. That night, as she lay by the fire, the sounds of distant wolves reminded her of the dangers lurking beyond the circle of light. Her hand instinctively rested on her hunting knife, her heart steady as she listened for any signs of movement in the shadows. At dawn, she found tracks in the sand near her camp, a warning that she was not alone in this wilderness. She pushed on, aware of every ripple, every rustle, each shift in the shadows that watched her from the forest edge. The Great Lakes stretched endlessly, its vastness a silent witness to her journey, testing her strength and resilience. Days blurred together as she paddled through narrow riverways, her hands blistered but her spirit unyielding against the biting cold. She stopped to gather wild berries and roots, her survival skills sharpening as she relied on the land to sustain her. One evening, she spotted movement on the shore, a lone figure watching her from behind the trees, cloaked in shadows. Her pulse quickened, but she kept her gaze steady, knowing fear would only weaken her in the presence of a stranger. The figure stepped forward, revealing Misqua, a warrior from a neighboring tribe, known for their rivalry with her people. Misqua's eyes were wary but curious, studying her as if weighing the purpose of her journey through his territory. She greeted him with a nod, careful to show respect, sensing that he was neither friend nor immediate threat. Misqua spoke of the French, hinting at trouble brewing, but he withheld the full story, leaving her to puzzle over his intentions. She offered him dried fish as a gesture of goodwill, hoping it would buy her safe passage and possibly an ally in these lands. Accepting the food, Misqua shared knowledge of safe routes, advising her to avoid a nearby clan hostile to outsiders. They parted ways at dawn, each acknowledging the other's courage, though neither fully trusting the bond of the moment. With renewed determination, she paddled into the rising sun, Misqua's words lingering as a silent guide through dangerous waters. Her journey took her through swampy wetlands where hidden currents threatened to overturn her fragile canoe. She kept her balance, shifting her weight carefully, fighting against the murky depths that pulled at her like unseen hands. That night, the sound of thunder woke her, and she quickly covered her supplies as a storm lashed against her camp. Waves battered the shore, and lightning lit the sky, each flash revealing towering waves that tested her resolve. She whispered to the spirits of her ancestors, asking for strength to withstand nature's wrath and fulfill her mission. When morning came, she found her canoe battered but intact, a testament to her father's craftsmanship and her own resilience. She patched up the damage and pushed off once more, her heart steady as she navigated deeper into unknown territory. The air grew colder as she traveled north, her breath visible in the chill, while her fingers ached from the relentless cold. One afternoon, she spotted a deer drinking at the river's edge, a moment of calm beauty in an otherwise treacherous journey. She let the deer be, respecting its right to the land, knowing that hunting would slow her down and risk her safety. Days later, she saw smoke rising from a distant shore, recognizing it as a campfire likely belonging to the French traders. Her hands tightened on the paddle, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and relief as she approached the unfamiliar shore. She landed, tensing as a tall man with a bearded face emerged from the trees, eyeing her with guarded curiosity. This was Talon, a French trader whose reputation for fairness had reached her people through stories and trade. She explained her purpose, carefully presenting the message of peace, knowing each word could shape her people's fate. Talon listened intently, his gaze thoughtful as he weighed the proposal of alliance with the Anishinaabe. He offered her food and shelter for the night, understanding the hardships she had endured to deliver this message. They shared stories by the fire, bridging the gap between their cultures as they learned of each other's people. Talon promised to honor the message, pledging to speak to his fellow traders about respecting the Anishinaabe lands. She rested, knowing her message had been received, though her journey home would be as treacherous as the path here. Setting out the next morning, she bid Talon farewell, his promise lingering in her mind as she steeled herself for the return. She retraced her route, her heart lighter yet aware of the dangers that lay in every shadow and river bend. On the third day, she spotted Miskwa again, watching her from a distant ridge, as if ensuring her safe passage. They shared a silent nod, the trust between them unspoken but understood, forged by shared hardship and respect. The familiar shores of her village came into view, the sight filling her with a bittersweet joy and a newfound pride. Her people greeted her with awe, seeing in her the strength of their ancestors, the spirit of the land embodied. She presented her father with the empty scroll, a symbol of her successful mission and the promise of peace. Her father embraced her, recognizing the courage she had shown, the weight of her journey etched on her face. The village celebrated, honoring her bravery, as her story became legend, shared around fires and whispered to children. She had left as the canoe builder's daughter, but she returned as a warrior, a diplomat, a bridge between worlds. The peace she secured held for years, a legacy that began with her quiet strength, her paddle strokes, and her resolve. Mahingan had proven that courage knows no bounds, that even the wilderness bows to those who dare its depths and believe.